Night had fallen over the city. The streetlights cast long shadows on the wet pavement, and the air was cold and still. A thin, bedraggled woman in tattered clothes stepped out of a dark alley, leaning heavily on her cane. She had no home, and her stomach growled from hunger, but something made her heart stop. A soft, muffled sob came from just around the corner. The woman's heart skipped a beat. Who could be crying out here so late at night? She listened carefully. The sound of the child's quiet sobbing echoed off the empty buildings. Slowly and carefully, she walked toward the noise. Every step she took was cautious, so as not to scare the frightened child even more. As she turned the corner, the woman saw a little girl no more than 5 years old sitting under the dim glow of a flickering lamppost. The child's face was hidden in her hands, and her tiny shoulders shook as she cried softly. Dust and rain clagged the girl's clothes, and her small stuffed bunny lay crumpled beside her, wet with tears. The sight broke the woman's heart. She slid to her knees and gently said, "Hey there, sweetie, why are you crying?" The girl looked up, her eyes red from crying. She saw the kind face of the stranger and sniffled. I can't find my mommy," she whispered, clutching the bunny. The woman's heart ached even more. "SHH," she soothed, "it's okay. You're safe now." She carefully wrapped her own thin scarf around the shivering girl's shoulders to keep her warm. The city was quiet, except for their breathing and distant traffic. For a moment, there was only silence and the faint sound of the girl's sniffles. Then the woman pulled the little girl into her lap and began humming a gentle lullaby. It was a lullaby she had sung to her own daughter long ago. The soft melody floated through the night air. Emily's tears began to slow as she listened. Her small hands relaxed on the woman's coat, and she gave a tiny, hopeful smile. In that moment, the lonely street corner felt like the safest place on earth, with only their quiet song filling the darkness. Suddenly, a low whistle cut through the air from behind a rusted dumpster. Maya froze. She glanced over her shoulder. In the shadows stood a tall man with a rough beard and cold eyes, leaning against the wall and watching them. The stranger had a menacing look about him as he slowly stepped forward. Emily let out a small cry and clutched her bunny to her chest. Maya gently moved in front of the child. "Stay back," she called to the stranger in a firm voice, trying to sound braver than she felt. "You need to leave this little girl alone." The man chuckled and took another step closer. He smelled of stale cigarettes and trouble, and Maya could see he was up to no good. Maya's heart pounded. Without thinking, she grabbed a broken plank of wood from the rubble and held it up like a shield. "Back off," she yelled. For a tense second, the alley was completely silent as the man stared at the wooden plank in Maya's hands. His eyes widened in surprise. He froze for a moment at the sight of the makeshift weapon. Suddenly, realizing Maya would fight, the stranger stumbled backward. In a split second, he spun on his heel and bolted into the darkness with a startled yell. Without another word, he sprinted away around the corner. Maya let out a shaky breath. She knelt back down and wrapped her arms around Emily. "It's okay. I won't let anyone hurt you," she whispered softly. Emily buried her face into Maya's coat, trembling. They huddled close together under the lamppost as the distant sounds of the city continued. Emily continued to shake in Maya's arms, though now it was more from fright and cold than danger. Maya gently asked, "What's your name, sweetie?" The little girl looked up with big, watery eyes. "Emily," she stammered. "That's a beautiful name," Maya said with a warm smile, giving Emily's hand a reassuring squeeze. Maya looked around the empty street. The stranger was gone, and there was no one else in sight. Maya had no phone, no money, and no place for a lost child. She held Emily's hands tightly and scanned the girl for any clues, a tag, a note, anything. Just then, Emily hugged her stuffed bunny closer, and Maya noticed something on its paw. Curiously, she lifted the bunny and saw embroidered letters on a little cloth tag. Emily read Heart M. Maya's breath caught. The same name on Emily and the letter M. It felt like more than a coincidence. Images flashed through Maya's mind. She closed her eyes and suddenly found herself back in a hospital room 5 years ago, cradling a tiny newborn in her arms. The baby's pink skin and tight grip on her finger reminded Meyer of Lily, the daughter she had when Emily was born. She remembered Lily's first smile, her first steps in a sunlit park, and Lily's giggle when Maya handed her the toy bunny. In Maya's mind, the scene shifted to a distant afternoon in that park, Lily, with blonde curls bouncing, running ahead. Maya reached out to hold Lily's hand, and in an instant Lily vanished. Maya screamed her name, panic rising, until her throat went dry. That night, the police took Lily's picture. For months, Maya searched every hospital and every police station, calling out Lily's name. Eventually, exhaustion and heartbreak overtook her, but deep in her heart she never stopped looking. Meyer opened her eyes. Emily was looking up at her, frightened. Maya's voice trembled as she said, "Lily, Lily." Emily tilted her head. "My mommy's name is Lily," she mumbled softly. Maya gasped, tears springing to her eyes. It all clicked. Emily was Lily. Emily's eyes widened as Maya gently said, "Lily, it's me, I'm your mama." At first, Emily looked confused. But when Maya whispered, "I found you, my baby girl," something in Emily's eyes softened. The little girl lifted her face and saw Maya's tear-streaked smile. Without hesitation, Emily threw herself into Maya's arms, whispering, "Mama." Maya cried out in joy and held Emily tightly, both of them finally believing it was real. For what felt like hours under the flickering streetlight, Meyer and Emily clung to each other. The truth about Emily's family had been hidden for so long, but now it was out in the open, warm in the sunrise light. Maya stroked Emily's damp hair. "You're home now," she whispered through tears. Emily nestled into Maya's coat, feeling safe at last. For the rest of that long night, Maya kept watch over Emily. She whispered more lullabies as Emily slept soundly against her chest. All around them, the city was dark and quiet, and the cold crept in, but Maya did not dare move. She stayed awake until exhaustion finally overtook her. When she opened her eyes, the first light of dawn was shining across the alley. Maya's arms ached from holding Emily, but she carefully stayed in place as the little girl stirred awake. Just then, a police cruiser pulled up with flashing lights. A gentle officer hurried out and approached them. "Ma'am, is everything all right?" he asked, seeing Maya with tears on her face and Emily in her arms. Maya blinked away her tears and stood, still holding Emily. "Officer, I found this child crying alone on the street," she said softly. "She's all I have." The officer looked surprised and asked for the girl's name. Maya said, "Emily, her name is Emily." The officer's eyes grew very wide. He quickly pulled out his radio. "Attention, missing child unit girl found, name Emily Jacobs." He spoke quietly. "Emily Jacobs, she's Lily Jacobs, abducted 5 years ago. We thought she was gone." Suddenly, a man came running down the street calling, "Emily, Emily." He was out of breath, panic on his face. It was Emily's father. When he saw the little girl safe and crying into Maya's coat, he stopped short. "Papa," Emily called out and ran into his arms. The father hugged her tightly and then turned to Maya, staring in disbelief. "Maya," he whispered. Maya just nodded, unable to speak, tears of shock and joy streaming down her face. The officer gently confirmed, "Sir, this is your daughter Lily. She's the one we've been looking for." The father's eyes filled with tears. He knelt down to Emily and held her, thanking Maya. Maya stood quietly, absorbing what had happened. Just last night she was alone and cold. Now the missing family was reunited. In this dawn light, the hidden truth of Emily's family was finally revealed. Maya realized that by saving that crying girl, she had also saved her own daughter. This story teaches us a beautiful lesson. Compassion can change lives. Maya's simple act of kindness, comforting a crying child on the street, led to a miracle beyond imagination. That lost little girl, Emily, turned out to be Maya's own daughter, reunited at last. We learned that we should never judge someone by their appearance or circumstances. Maya had nothing but a loving heart, and that heart found what she thought was lost forever. Her reward for helping another person was more precious than anything. So remember, a single kind gesture can make all the difference. You never know whose life you might change by helping someone in need. Maya helped a stranger and, in turn, found her own family again. Be kind, stay hopeful, and keep your heart open. You never know what hidden blessings might be just around the corner.